Hello and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel, where, of course, we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Today, it's time for another match preview. I'll say another, it's the first one of the 2021-22 Championship season. Today, we're going to be talking about and looking ahead to the Bournemouth game, which kicks off on Friday at 7:45 in the evening. We're away at the Vitality Stadium, and it's the first game of the Championship season, and a lot of us are looking forward to it in heavy anticipation. But before we get into this match preview, if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're after 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If we can reach that, that would be absolutely massive for the channel. And thank you again for 500 subscribers before the target date of the Bournemouth game. So thank you very much for subscribing. And if you're new around here, be sure to carry on subscribing and comment your thoughts on the game below. I want to see your score predictions, your hopes, your fears about the game. But let's get straight into this match preview, the first one of the 2021-22 season. So let's get straight into this match preview. So we're playing Bournemouth Friday night kickoff, the first fixture of the Championship campaign. It's a very good fixture to begin with as well, let's be fair. I think this is one that a lot of Albion fans are looking forward to, and a lot of Bournemouth fans are going to be looking forward to as well. Obviously, two new managers coming into the game, and it's going to be quite interesting, I think, to see how both managers adapt to their new clubs. See Scott Parker coming as the new manager for the guys at Bournemouth, which is interesting. He obviously left Fulham at the end of last season after getting relegated alongside Albion. Albion obviously starting off with their new manager Valérien Ismaël, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can bring in a league game. Obviously, a lot of us have been very impressed by the pre-season games, conceding 0 goals, being very good in the high pressing system, especially against Birmingham. Scoring 4 goals the other day was a very good result. So I think that's quite exciting. I think Bournemouth are actually the favourites for Friday night in terms of the betting market, but I think everybody's really looking forward to seeing how Albion get on and how Bournemouth get on as well. So Bournemouth are the favourites to win on Friday night, but there's never really been too much to split the two sides in terms of squads. If we look at the squads, Bournemouth have got a very strong one. If we take a look at their squad now, and just have a look at see what sort of danger men could stand out for us. So in terms of squad, they've got Untitled Chapter, who's got goals and assists for days last season in the Championship. Obviously, people will be looking at him to provide a bit of a creative spark. Last season, 35 matches, 17 goals, 7 assists, which is obviously just fantastic. I don't think that needs much more explanation. Those are Mateus Pereira numbers in terms of the Championship. So a lot of us looking forward to see, a lot of Bournemouth fans looking forward to seeing if Untitled Chapter can replicate that form and bring it forward to this season's Championship campaign. Still plenty more players in the Bournemouth side that would make it a probably Premier League level. You've got players such as David Brooks, who's obviously come back from the Euros with Wales as well. You've also got players such as Jefferson Lerma, Philip Billing. These are Premier League players that we're talking about here. You've got Chris Mepham. They've also signed Emiliano Marcondes, who was one that was hotly tipped to be signed for Albion after leaving Brentford as a free agent. So there's plenty of players in there for Bournemouth that we need to watch out for. Chris Mepham at the back, obviously a very solid addition quite a few years ago from Brentford. And then they've got Leif Davis coming in on loan from Leeds, which is a decent signing as well. So they've got some very good Premier League, high Championship quality players. The only thing that worries me about Bournemouth is that they've only likely to have one striker by the time of this game. So they've got Dominic Solanke up front, who did score goals in the Championship last season, scored 15 in fact. Not as many as I thought he did actually. But you've got Dominic Solanke up front, but they're likely to sell Sam Surridge, who's looking to potentially move on to Stoke City for a fee of £5.5 million, which I think is very interesting. So Sam Surridge looks like he's leaving. But there are some very good players in the squad for Bournemouth. I think that their starting 11 and their star players are as good as ours, definitely. But I think their squad depth is just as perhaps bad as ours. I do think we've got a bit of squad depth, but I do think their squad is slightly worse than ours. But yeah, I think Anat Danjuma, I think he could be one to leave potentially at the start of this summer. And actually, I've just seen a confirmation tweet that Sam Surridge has left the club for Stoke City. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Looking forward to seeing how he gets on there. But I think that Sam Surridge, £5.5 million to Stoke City is a bit over the top in my opinion for a player of his quality. Obviously, he is a good player, but is he really going to be worth £5.5 million after 4 goals in the Championship? Yes, he's only 23, but yeah, Sam Surridge going to Stoke City there. But I think Bournemouth, their squad is very good. They've still got Premier League quality players in there, probably helped by the parachute payments. You've got Scott Parker, a quality manager, in my opinion. I liked his ideas at Fulham. I think he just couldn't gather much consistency in terms of wins. I think he could gather the consistency. I think he could gather the consistency in terms of draws. They drew a lot of games last season. However, I think that that Scott Parker will be able to guide Bournemouth into the top 6 this season. I think that's where their calling is. I think that that's the sort of position that they're looking at. I think that they are a good side, and I think they are looking for promotion and looking in those sorts of areas. Obviously, got into the playoffs last time, lost to Brentford in that playoff semi-final. So yeah, I think we're looking forward to seeing what Scott Parker can do in the Bournemouth job. However, enough about Bournemouth. Let's move on to Albion. So Bournemouth, I think, essentially my summary is that they are a good side. Albion, I've been really impressed with the Birmingham pre-season game. If you haven't watched that match reaction video, I suggest you go and do so, because it gives you a bit of more of a basis of what we're looking at with Valérien Ismaël and his system, because obviously this is a new thing that a lot of us are learning for the first time. Obviously, as we saw it a bit at Barnsley last season, but it's something that we are learning for the first time and something we are getting into for the first time. So I think that a lot of us are looking forward to seeing how Valérien Ismaël adapts. I think at Birmingham it looked perfectly in place. I think the pressing, squeezing high at the pitch, the back line pushes up, squeezing the opposition defenders when they've got the ball, and I think it worked perfectly. We won the ball high up the pitch. And another thing that struck me in the Birmingham game is that there was a lot of determination. You looked at we were 3-0 up in I think when we scored that last goal about 80 minutes in, and you've got players, even you've got Mowat, you've got Sawyers, and you've got players like that who are sprinting up the pitch to try and get involved in the play. You're 3-0 up and you're 80 minutes in a friendly as well. So I think that was something that struck me, is the determination. The work rate is clearly being instilled in the players, and I'm really pleased to see that. So let's go for my lineup, because I did post it on Twitter the other day who I'd go for in terms of a starting lineup. But obviously you may not follow me on Twitter. If you don't already, I suggest you do so. It's just at the Baggies Pod, and you can follow that with the link tree in the description as well. So this is my lineup that I'd go for if I was Valérien Ismaël. It's in fact a relatively unchanged one I think it's actually unchanged from the one that we played against Birmingham last week. So in goal, I've gone for David Button, who, although Sam Johnston has returned and is apparently showing some really positive signs and good attitude since returning from international duty, and there's even talks of a new contract with Sam Johnston. Obviously, if that happens, then there'll be a video on that when it comes, so make sure you subscribe for that. So David Button, I think, is likely to start in goal since Sam Johnston only returned about a week ago. Then I've gone for a back three. I've altered it, actually, I have altered it slightly from the Birmingham game. So I've gone for Semi Ajayi, who could play centre-back. Then I've gone for Carl Bartley in the middle and Matt Clark out at left centre-back. I think that... I think that will look pretty decent. I've gone for Clark, Bartley and Ajayi at the back as a back three. I think that worked quite nicely. I would like Dara O'Shea to start, but I do think you need Ajayi's pace if you're going to push up with that line. I think once the ball tips over the top, I think you are in a bit of trouble with those three, with O'Shea, Bartley and Clark, because there's not much pace in there, but I think Ajayi's pace could be absolutely essential. Then at left wing back, I've gone for Connor Townsend, Connor Carlos, as some of us like to call him. I think he's looking pretty decent and obviously looking to improve in the Championship this season after a really maturing Premier League season as well. Then I've gone for Alex Mowat at centre midfield, Jake Livermore also at centre midfield, Darnell Furlong right wing back, then Karlan Grant at left wing, and then Callum Robinson through the middle, and Grady Dean Garnett on the right wing. So I do think that that's a decent one. I think Livermore's looked particularly a new man really under Valérien Ismaël. I think that Mowat's going to do a fantastic job in centre midfield. I think that Robinson's going to have to start up front for now, rotating with Grant when necessary. However, I do think that Kenneth Sahor has got something to offer, really. If you saw his burst of pace at the end of the Birmingham game, he looked really good. I know it's just one move, but he has got the attributes of a good striker. He's fast, he's strong. Maybe his finishing ability's not all there, but I think he has got the attributes of a good striker. And that if somebody can just get a tune out of him, I think it's worth it. I think there's lots of service coming in. You've got Dean Garner, you've got Grant, you've got Robinson, you've got Connor Townsend, Darnell Furlong whipping crosses in. I think there's potential for Kenneth Sahor to have a good season. So that's the lineup I'd go for in a 3-4-3 formation. I'll read it out again for you. So I've gone for Button, Ajayi, Bartley, Clark, Townsend, Mowat, Livermore Furlong, Grant, Robinson, Dean, Garner. So that is your 3-4-3 formation I'm going for. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. Let's go and check out what you guys have been saying on Twitter. We've had a couple of comments come in on our post where I just asked you for a few words on the game, some hopes and fears, and all that jazz. So we've got one coming in from Casey, who says, won't be an easy win, would be a great one each. A win won't be easy, a win would be great, one each, Grant to score. So there we go, 1-1 draw predicted from them. Then we've got Dan Tudge, who comes in and says, think comfortable win, Bournemouth will come good, but too early in the season. Selling Sturridge by the looks of it, so down another player and unlikely to replace by Friday. So Dan thinks it's an easy win. What do I think? I'm going to go for I'm going to say 2-1 to Albion. I think we'll win. And I think we'll have goals from Callum Robinson, and I think I'm going to say Alex Mowatt's going to score. I'm going to say Callum Robinson, Alex Mowat to score. That's my prediction, 2-1. So let me know your predictions in the comments below, of course. But obviously, we're all really looking forward to the season ahead. Always looking forward to another championship season. It's a very exciting league, and there's going to be all sorts of content coming from the Baggies Podcast outlets. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can subscribe to us on here as well. If you want to listen to our season preview podcast, that's also available to listen to on YouTube or any of your podcast platforms. But that does bring me to the end of this match preview. I've gone for a 2-1 win against Bournemouth, hoping that that's going to be the case. However, if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe and like the video if you've enjoyed, and comment down below what you think the score is going to be and your thoughts about the game. That does bring me to the end of this video on the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.